Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. It's time again to talk about album covers. So in this video, what I'm doing is I'm contrasting a band or a solo artist who has a good album cover versus a bad album cover. And just, talk about it a bit and get your opinion, of course, because your opinion matters on this channel. Don't get me going. So, of course, first up, and these aren't ranked or anything, they're just, I think there's 20 albums in total. So 20 good album covers by an artist versus 20 bad album covers by the same artist. So I think most of you know that what's following this Emerson, Lake and Palmer awesome album cover, and even the album title, Brain Salad Surgery. It's like, yeah, I'm in. Versus not so good. And you know what it is. Hey, have you heard the new Emerson, Lake and Palmer album, Love Beach? Yeah. I was actually, at night I'm listening to music and I'm thinking about video ideas. And for some strange reason, Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Love Beach came into my head, and it quickly left, and I started thinking about Brain Salad Surgery, because that was, like I said, a pretty awesome album cover. And some of these bands have more than one bad album cover and more than one good album cover. So let's move on. Okay, Kiss. Yes, I was a big Kiss fan in the early 70s. I bought their first 5 albums. And I remember buying Kiss Alive. And I loved everything about it, including the album cover. So that's good. Versus bad. Lick 'em up. Yeah, just not as cool. So let's move on. Wow, what an awesome album cover by Yes, and they had a few. Of course, the artwork of Roger Dean. It's just too bad that it couldn't be more consistent in their discography and use him on all the album covers. But that was not meant to be, because we would get crappy album covers like Going for the One. I know that some people, including the band, I guess, aren't fans of Tornado or Tornado, but that never really bothered me as much as an album cover like this. It's stupid. Let's move on. Great album, though, by the way. All right, another awesome album cover. Genesis had a few, and this is probably my favorite, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I am thinking of getting the remixed deluxe version CD coming out, but we'll see. Versus, and I could have chosen more than one bad album cover by Genesis, but this is the one that kind of irks me the most. Abacab. I know I've done worst album covers before, and, I'm sure there's fans of almost all of these album covers, even Love Beach for some reason. But yeah, that just never appealed to me. It's very arty. All right, the next good album cover is, Queen, Sheer Heart Attack. Like I said, it's not for everybody. Some people might be put off by all of the bare chests and and Freddie Mercury's hairy chest, which is even more hairy than mine. But I just thought it was, yeah, and the sweat and everything, I just thought it was a cool album cover. Unlike The Miracle, which took 5 minutes to do in Photoshop. And like I said, I've read where people like this album cover, but I don't. I can have my own opinion, okay? Next up. The next good album cover is Procol Harum, A Salty Dog. Yeah, I always liked, the character there, and the illustration was cool. Versus not so cool. And not necessarily bad, but just boring, right? And even the album title. What are we going to call this? I don't know. Which album of this is it? Is it our 8th or 9th? It's our 9th. Let's call it Procol's 9th. And even the band shot doesn't look, they look all bored. I've not heard this album. And I am a Procol Harum fan, but I just haven't heard this particular album. Let me know if you like it or not. Thank you. The next good album cover. Yeah. And there was a few. Even, I know some people aren't fans of McCartney 2. That big shot of Paul's head making the funny face. But I liked it. And Wildlife with Wings. But I chose Venus and Mars. Just very classy looking. And I like the font and everything. Versus not so good. There's a few, but I chose, Memory Almost Full. Once again, just boring and I guess bad too. And the one good thing is that's, I didn't listen to Paul McCartney for a long time, for I think over 25 years. And then I bought this and I became a big fan again. And started buying his albums. So it's a great album, just not a great album cover. The next good album cover is, Aerosmith, Draw the Line. I like that. There's no text on the cover. It's just a really cool, illustration. I love how Steven Tyler has the really big lips and teeth. But it's cool. I did like that. And the album, I love the song, Draw the Line. That's my favorite Aerosmith song. So a good album too. Versus later Aerosmith was terrible for more than just the music, but the album covers. Just Push Play. Isn't that an appealing album cover? Next good album cover. The Blue Oyster Cult. It kind of did bug me though that the V in blue is a V instead of a U. And then they're called Blue Oyster Cult. But Tyranny and Mutation, that is a very eye-catching cover, as were a lot of their albums. Spectres was great, their debut, Secret Treaties, and then they had Bad Ones. So the bad one is there's two covers. One was for the UK and one was for America, I guess. So the first bad one for Blue Oyster Cult is Heaven Forbid. What a gory, that definitely is like a heavy metal album cover, but it's just not suitable, to me at least, for Blue Oyster Cult. And that, I believe, was the UK cover. And so they made this for the US market, and it's no better, really. Yeah, Blue Oyster Cult, heaven forbid. Both bad in their very unique ways. All right, the next good album cover. Let me know if you like this idea, because I can do this forever. I can do another, do a series. Next one, Lou Reed, New York, with 5 Lou Reeds. I think one is enough, but great album, and just it's Lou Reed. It's kind of shows his personality, and so it's a cool album cover versus yeah, I never understood this album cover. It's his first one, just simply called Lou Reed. The album is good. I think it's a little underrated, but not really fond of the album cover. The next good, maybe even great album cover is yeah, that's a great album cover. Permanent Waves. And I was reading, I can't really see it there. There's something about their names in the background. Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson in the signs or something. But yeah, and it's a great album too. Versus a bad Rush album cover. Counterparts. I know. Some of you like it. Next up, a good album cover. Pink Floyd had quite a few. And this is Umaguma. Yeah, very cool. I remember before I knew really who Pink Floyd was, I remember seeing this album in record stores and thinking it was pretty cool. And good album too, especially the live side. Versus not so good. Yeah, the final cut. I know some people are fans of it, but I'm not. Another good album cover is Led Zeppelin Presence with The Object. It was just so, and then there's other pictures, of course, with The Object, and it's just kind of creepy and mysterious, I guess. And I wasn't sure about it at first, maybe, when I first bought the album, but I think it's cool. Versus yeah, Coda. I know this isn't a studio album, it's just a compilation, but still, they could have done so much better with the album cover. The next good album cover is it's Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. We're only in it for the money. Of course, when this was originally released, they had to reverse it. And the gatefold with, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, it would have the mothers all dressed up, in dresses and everything. And so that was the outer at the time, but this was supposed to be the cover, and it is now today. So I've always loved that. Lots of great Frank Zappa album covers versus a bad one. Yeah, just needs a bit of work. It's almost like it was rushed. Not one of my favorite album covers. That's one of the Frank Zappa albums I've never heard. Let me know if I should hear it. Next up. Yeah, I always love this one by Jefferson Airplane. Bless Its Pointed Little Head, which was a live album with Jack Cassidy, the bassist. Looks like he's had a bit too much to drink. So good album cover, at least for me. Versus oof. Simply Jefferson Airplane featuring, yeah, we know who Jefferson Airplane is. Grace Slick, Paul Cantor, Marty Ballin, Jack Cassidy, Jorma, I can't even say his last name. But anyway, pretty boring, right? And I've heard the album, and this was their reunion album, and it was not very good. The next good album cover is It Sparks. Indiscreet from 1975. I could have picked so many of their album covers, but I love this one because they're being very indiscreet, even though they just crashed into a neighborhood. Yeah, I always love that album cover, and the back cover, and the gatefold with them with the shopping bags. Now, yes, there is a bad Sparks album cover or two. Which one did I pick? Yeah, at first I was going to go with Balls, which is kind of boring, but I think the vinyl version of that would be kind of cool with the different colored balls on the cover. But this one was just bland, and I actually loved the album. Took me a few years to go from liking it to loving it, but I do love it now. And it's just, I don't know, kind of dull and depressing. Next up. That's cool. It's 10cc. Sheet music. And when I first bought this album, for a few years, I never really got the joke of sheet music because, it's supposed to sound like S-H-I-T music. Versus. So once again, two different album covers, one for the UK market. I think this was the UK version. Are You Normal? Look Here. So what is the album called? Is it Look Here with a question mark, or is it Are You Normal? I'm already confused. And the other version of this is not much better. So I guess the album was called Look Here. The next good album cover is one of the very first albums I ever bought with my own money. Grand Funk Live album. Versus when I was a Grand Funk fan, for many, I still am. But when I saw this album in the record store, I picked it up, I looked at the cover, I put it back down, and I didn't buy another Grand Funk album for years. Next. Deep Purple. Who Do We Think We Are? I've always loved that album cover with the bubbles and the band members inside the bubbles. Let me know if you like it. Versus. That's not cool. I don't know. I just don't know. Like I've said so many times, when bands have albums, new releases, and they must know what the album cover looks like. All of the band members think, yeah, that's the album cover. I love it. But, maybe sometimes they don't have a say in it. I don't know. But that's one of the absolute worst album covers. And that is it. At least until I do another one. Maybe this will be a series. So if you want this to be a series, please remember to like the video, leave a comment below, and make sure you're subscribed. I'll have another video today on my other channel, and it's showing 15 vinyl records I bet you don't have in your collection. Bye. Have a great day.